This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Tuesday, T-Boy Tuesday, July 22nd. And today's pod is the best one yet. This is a T-Boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
All right, get this. The S&P, it's at an all-time high. NASDAQ, also at an all-time high. What's going on?
I think we arrived in Chicago, which is the financial capital of the Midwest.
Stocks hit record highs when we land. We already ran into a Yeti, and we just got here. We made a left off Michigan Ave. Boom, there's a bestie, Tommy. Thanks for saying hi, man. But Jack, we got 3 stories for today's T-Boy. What do we got on the pod?
For our first story, it's Tesla. Tesla just opened a movie theater / diner / supercharging station right in Los Angeles.
And the burgers for this Tesla diner are served by robots.
It's real.
Yes.
It's open today, and we'll explain.
Yes, we shall.
For our second story, one company makes half of the world's zippers. It's called YKK, and it's the most global business on earth.
YKK is the mystery brand behind your zipper, so we studied its zipper monopoly.
And our third and final story. The WNBA is in the middle of a critical labor contract, and the players protested big this past weekend.
So Jack and I whipped up all the numbers to find out if the WNBA is facing a flagrant foul.
But Yetis, before we hit that wonderful mix of stories.
Fantastic mix of stories. Love the mix for a T-Boy Tuesday, Jack.
Yesterday, we asked you a simple trivia question.
What is the most valuable franchise of all time?
What fictional characters have generated more revenue than any other fictional characters?
Actually, you almost all got it wrong.
The most valuable fictional franchise of all time is Pokemon.
Pokemon is the highest grossing franchise in history.
Pikachu is a $100 billion pocket monster.
That is more than Star Wars and Harry Potter combined. Holy Bulbasaur.
And it wasn't movies. It was TV. It was playing cards. It was a Nintendo video game.
But here's what we find fascinating about this. The Pokemon story actually begins with a guy obsessed with bugs.
That's right. Pokemon was invented by a Japanese man who loved collecting beetles. And what did he say about bugs, Nick?
He would say, gotta catch them all.
The Wild Tale of Pokemon is the latest episode of our weekly show, The Best Idea Yet.
In fact, Pokemon was also the most requested subject for us to do for that show.
So many of you left comments asking for us to deep dive on Pokemon.
So we did it. The link is in today's episode description. After today's T-Boy, you gotta go check it out.
Because you gotta catch them all.
Literally. But today's episode, Jack, this is a fantastic one. What do you say we hit the T-Boy?
Pikachu. Let's hit it.
15 years before this song, 2 boys from the Northeast met in a dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, Tesla just opened its first Tesla diner, an electric charging drive-in movie theater.
Tesla is completely reinventing the gas station, and it reminds us of Ted Lasso.
Now, Yetis, in order for us to tell this tale, let's go back to 2021 when Tesla filed a trademark to enter the restaurant service.
Elon got too excited to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
So he leaked it, and we covered it on our pod 4 years ago.
It's not just a diner. It is a drive-through movie theater supercharging space-themed diner in the middle of lovely Los Angeles.
We'll explain more what all that means.
But in the meantime, I'm looking at Google Maps, Jack. This thing is right off Santa Monica Boulevard.
And yesterday, suddenly it opened.
Out of nowhere.
And the details are even wilder than we expected. It's a drive-in movie theater with a diner and a supercharging station run by robots.
That's right. It's run by bots. More on that in a sec. But the design looks like it's worthy of an Architectural Digest award right here.
The whole design of the experience is a unique mix of both nostalgia and futurism.
It's giving Jetsons. Like if George Jetson drove a Model Y, he would go there before picking up his boy Elroy.
In the center of this property is a giant building that looks like a spaceship, but they're serving diner food. Milkshakes, burgers, French fries, but the servers are humanoid Tesla robots.
And then there's the drive-in movie theater on top of the diner.
So while you're sitting in the car eating your food and charging your car, you can watch a movie on a big screen. Each of the 75 parking spots is a Tesla Level 3 supercharging station.
Now, we found that fascinating, but we were also curious about this. The key to Tesla's drive-through diner electric vehicle charging station is that it's not just for Tesla, right, Jack?
It's open to any electric car.
And now we should point out Tesla drivers are going to enjoy the experience just better.
Right. Tesla's cars are ridiculously connected. It is truly like an iPhone on wheels.
I would order my burger and it would just charge my card automatically without me having to swipe anything.
I can order it on my Rivian, but I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Now, while I'd be watching The Goonies on the big screen, Jack, the movie would also be playing on the screen in our Tesla as well.
Other electric cars will have to just look up at the big screen and then set their radio to a certain FM station to listen to it, just like any other old school drive-in.
Now, besties, we mentioned Elon filed a trademark for restaurant services, so here's what the restaurant is going to be serving.
Like we mentioned, diner food, old school diner food, but burgers are going to be served, get this, in cardboard Cybertruck boxes. And they're going to be served by Tesla's Optimus Prime humanoid robots who make up the waitstaff.
And Elon confirmed on Monday he's not just doing one of these for fun. He's building a whole crew of them.
In major cities around the world, as well as at the supercharging sites on long-distance routes.
Now we know what you're thinking, Yetis. And what is this Jetsons charging station dinner and a movie situation really going to be?
Probably not a big revenue driver.
Yeah, for the business, this is an amazing brand play.
It'll give Tesla that Hollywood je ne sais quoi.
Which leads to our je ne sais takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Tesla?
Tesla is building a diner for the same reason Apple built a Hollywood studio.
Yetis, this is a classic brand halo play. It is intended to enhance Tesla's brand overall angelically.
As a result, it could get Tesla buyers to continue buying Teslas in the future, or it could win over some Tesla curious to finally pull the trigger and buy a Model 3.
But as Jack and I analyzed it further, it really reminds us of Apple. It reminds us of Apple developing original content for Apple TV+.
Apple's streaming business doesn't make a profit.
But Apple's streaming service does win Oscars and Emmy Awards, and that elevates Apple's brand.
So this Tesla diner is Tesla's Ted Lasso.
Yeah, it's their Ted Lasso.
It's an expense to delight fans and win recognition and boost the brand positively.
I should also point out, Jack, kind of funny that both Apple and Tesla built these brand plays in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's a vanity town.
It's the place to how you look.
A stronger brand lets you price a little bit higher and win a tiny percentage more customers.
So Tesla is building a diner for the same reason that Apple built a Hollywood studio. For our second story, one company makes half the world's zippers. That's right, Japan's YKK is the most globalized business on earth.
But this zipper giant's secret, it's not making zippers, it's making zipper makers.
Now, Jack, why don't you kick us off on this one? Because what were you curious about?
So I wanted to see how ChatGPT could answer like a consulting interview question.
Oh, yeah.
So I asked ChatGPT, how many garments in the world have zippers on them?
Okay, what kind of numbers are we talking
Well, they
about?
walked me through the thought process. 100 billion garments are produced each year, and about half have zippers. And a clothing's life cycle is about 10 years before it gets tossed in the trash.
I'm following.
That means 500 billion garments in people's closets right now have zippers on them.
And half of the world's 500 billion zippers have 3 letters on them, Jack.
YKK.
YKK. Because, besties, this brand makes half of the world's zippers.
YKK is the zipper of choice for 40% of the world's apparel brands.
We're talking Patagonia to Chanel to Levi's. One sec. I'm just looking at my J. Crew khakis. I'm not kidding, Jack. Look at this.
I don't want to look at your crotch right now.
Well, it's up, and it's a YKK zipper.
If one side connects the other with interlocking metal teeth, there's a 50-50 chance it's YKK.
Now, Jack and I jumped in T-Boy style to the numbers, and this company is doing $6.9 billion in revenue a year on zippers.
To sprinkle on some context,
Please, Jack.
that's about the same as Ferrari. But why is this zipper giant in the news right now, Nick?
Well, Jack, it's because of the trade war.
According to a deep dive profile in Bloomberg, YKK has 500 factories in 70 countries.
And that makes YKK the most globalized, interconnected company we've ever covered on this show.
And the company most vulnerable to tariffs.
But Yetis, this is what Jack and I found fascinating about this zipper giant. YKK doesn't make its money selling zippers.
Founded in Tokyo, Japan in 1934, YKK did not invent the zipper.
Yeah.
An American company did.
That's right. A U.S. company invented the fastener, which is the zipper, and basically disrupted the button.
What YKK did invent years later was a machine to custom cut a zipper down to size.
And that's the key. They realized that was the more valuable business.
Not making zippers, leasing zipper finishing machines to apparel companies.
For example, let's look at your Levi's jeans. 100% of the zippers on Levi's are YKK zippers.
Here's what YKK does with Levi's. They make an enormous bulk amount of zippers in like a giant wheel that they'll send to the Levi's factory. But then they'll also send Levi's a zipper finishing machine to customize to each garment.
They lease Levi's that machine because Levi's sometimes needs to make a shorter zipper for like a back pocket or like a longer zipper for some big 501s.
And because each customer can adapt the machine to their own zipper needs, the YKK client base exploded.
Get this, in 1978, after YKK started leasing these zipper machines, their revenues jumped 5x in just a few years.
And now YKK's machines are in every industry you touch.
We're not just talking about khakis, baby. We're talking about saving your life.
Medical devices, astronaut suits, even cars.
What was the wild stat we discovered about cars, Jack?
The average car has 20 YKK fasteners somewhere in that machine.
Why do you think your front seat attaches to the chassis? It's YKK zippers.
Without any marketing blitzes, without any ad campaigns, without any Labubu doll collabs.
Oh, no.
This has just become the zipper company making zipper machines and giant wheels of zip.
It's like the invisible infrastructure behind all of our wardrobes, Jack. It's like Wi-Fi for your wardrobe.
Nick, as they say, XYZ,
Yeah.
examine your zipper, because there's a monopoly hidden in your fly.
So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at YKK Zippers?
As Sigmund Freud once said, our mind is like an iceberg, only aware of the fraction above the water.
Yet Sigmund Freud, famous psychologist, created the iceberg analogy for how we humans think.
Our conscious thought is just a small part.
Right.
Most of what's going on in our head is the unconscious feelings, the instincts, and the stuff we can't even articulate.
And that's the way Jack and I think about YKK's zipper business. And that's the reason it's so successful. It's the iceberg analogy.
Above the water, YKK's name is present on half of the world's zippers.
But under the water, what you can't see, that's the real business, the profit puppy, the leasing of zipper machines.
They lease zipper machines to nearly half of the world's clothing brands, and that is why it's a $7 billion business.
So to Jack and I, it's a reminder that a great business can be like our minds. The biggest part is the part we can't see. Hey Yetis, if you're a bestie, take a sec and hit that subscribe button.
And like this video while you're at it. If you leave a comment, by the way, we'll read it.
For our third and final story, the WNBA is in the middle of a high-stakes labor negotiation, and the players just wore protest shirts to the All-Star game.
They're saying, pay us what you owe us.
It's on the shirts.
So Nick and I tried to calculate that number.
Jack, 2024 March National Championship game, Iowa versus South Carolina. Who you have?
That game already happened. South Carolina won, but 19 million people watched that game, according to Nielsen.
19 million people, 2 New York Cities worth of viewers for women's basketball.
19 million viewers is more than any men's basketball game, pro or college, since 2019.
And Jack, why the sudden surge in viewership?
To watch Caitlin Clark.
Sure.
And the eyeballs have followed her into the WNBA too.
You've got new teams in the WNBA, like Toronto and Portland getting them next season.
Thanks to the Caitlin Clark effect, you have Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia getting WNBA teams after that.
There'll be 18 total. Plus, you're getting new fans. 3 teams sold out season tickets this year.
No WNBA team had ever done that prior to this season.
And now, besties, we should point out there already were great players in the WNBA. But Caitlin Clark has had a Taylor Swift-like effect on the business. You just can't explain it.
This year, viewership in the WNBA is up 23%. Attendance is up 26%. Merch sales are up 40%.
Jack, those are Lisa Leslie numbers right there.
The WNBA is the growthiest growth league in all of sports.
And yeah, that's more than pickleball and more than F1.
And yet, here's the shocker. The minimum salary for WNBA players is just $66,000.
And Jack, what is it for their male counterparts over in the NBA?
The NBA minimum salary is $1 million. 17 times higher than the WNBA.
Besties, that leads us to this weekend's WNBA All-Star game in Indianapolis, where the players warmed up in a very particular t-shirt.
All the players in a united stance wore a black t-shirt that said, "Pay us what you owe us."
And then dramatically, when the game ended, what did the fans start chanting?
Pay them, pay them, pay them.
Now, the reason for all this high drama is that the Players Union is in the middle of negotiating a critical multi-year labor contract for the players.
And the women's number one demand? We want 50% of the league's revenues, just like men get in their pro sports.
Now, 50% is a really specific number because the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, all the major sports leagues, when they make money, half of it goes to the players.
It's a revenue share deal.
Exactly.
But for women's professional basketball, the revenue share is just 9%.
So, besties, we know what you're thinking here. Is this a flagrant financial foul happening to the WNBA? Well,
despite 9% being much smaller than a 50% revenue share, it's not as discriminatory as it may first seem.
We jumped in further to the numbers here, and the WNBA has a much smaller TV deal, smaller ticket sales, and smaller concession revenue than those other sports leagues.
But despite having lower revenues, the costs for the WNBA are comparable to the NBA.
Right.
Both leagues need arenas. Both leagues need staff.
You need a ball boy wiping up the sweat over in the paint, Jack, if you're going to play either game, WNBA or NBA.
So lower revenues but comparable costs is why the WNBA lost money last season. $50 million, according to the Washington Post.
So based on those numbers, it's not ideal for the players to ask for a raise when their league is currently losing money.
The NFL's revenues are so big, owners can pay them half the revenues and still make a profit.
But if WNBA team owners paid half the revenue to players, they'd all be losing even more money.
But those women actually have a rebuttal if you value the WNBA like a startup.
So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over in the WNBA?
Growth companies require higher multiples, even if they're unprofitable.
Yetis, Mark Zuckerberg is paying AI engineers $100 million, despite AI being a huge lost llama for his company, Meta.
Why? It's because AI has huge growth potential, huge profit potential in the future. So it's okay if they're losing money on it right now.
Well, that same techie framework works right now for the WNBA. Revenues have more than tripled since the last contract 5 years ago.
So owners are telling players, we can't pay you 50%, we'll lose money if we do.
But here's the key. Players can tell owners they're actually in a growth industry, and you can see the proof of that in the team valuations.
According to Sportico, the average WNBA team today is worth 180% more than the same time last year.
So the women of the WNBA are reframing the negotiation. The WNBA is actually a growth industry.
And growth companies require higher multiples, even if they're unprofitable.
Jack, could you whip up the takeaways for us for TBOY Tuesday?
On Monday, Tesla opened its first Tesla Diner, which is also a drive-in movie theater and supercharger station.
This is Tesla's Ted Lasso moment, an expensive non-core project to boost the brand halo.
For our second story, about half the world's clothing companies use YKK's zipper fitting machines.
It's a zipper monopoly, and it reminds us of Freud's iceberg. The genius of YKK's business is hidden beneath the surface.
And our third and final story, as they negotiate a labor contract, WNBA players wore "Pay us what you owe us" shirts to the All-Star game.
Because growth companies require higher multiples even if they're unprofitable.
But Yetis, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, we got an update on Coldplay's Kiss Cam. That's right, the CEO has officially resigned.
Astronomer is the AI company whose CEO's affair was outed on the Jumbotron at the Coldplay concert.
But while the CEO is now gone, the scandal could actually be a boom for astronomers' business.
Because had you ever heard of Astronomer before this scandal?
I thought it was just someone who looked at the stars. Now I know it's a company, Jack.
Second, we have one big announcement and one big leak.
The announcement is that Starbucks says pumpkin spice lattes will return on August 26th.
Second is the leak. Apple's next iPhone will be foldable. Like an iPhone when it's folded up and an iPad when it's folded open.
Although Samsung did do this like 7 years ago, adds up, Apple.
And finally, Snoop Dogg just added the biggest asset yet to his investment portfolio. a Welsh soccer club.
That's right, the rapper is now a co-owner of Swansea City, second-tier club located in the UK.
Swansea City is actually a rival to Wrexham FC, the Welsh club co-owned by Ryan Reynolds.
So Snoop is hoping his off-field ownership gets this club on the field promoted. Now time for the best fact yet. This one, a voicemail left for us from Christian Miles in lovely Princeton, New Jersey.
Push and play.
Did you know that we do have a good idea of how Latin was pronounced? We can infer this from graffiti around the Roman Empire. For example, Julius Caesar or Julius Caesar's famous quote of Veni Vidi Vici was actually pronounced as Veni Vidi Vici. In Latin, a V was a W, C's were hard, and J was a Y as a couple examples. Thanks, and be well, or gratias vale.
We said Latin was a dead language, so you didn't have to pronounce it. But we forgot about that graffiti that was 2,000 years old on the Colosseum.
Which apparently had a phonetic pronunciation
And
written on
we
the stone.
have been proven wrong. Gratis, Christian. Gratis. Oh, and before we go, a quick correction from yesterday's pod when we covered 3 crypto bills.
The Genius Act we covered yesterday, that's the one about stablecoins. That is law now because it was signed by the president on Friday.
The other 2 crypto bills only passed by the House are expected to get some changes by the Senate.
And they might not pass at all. We'll let you know.
Yetis, you look fantastic for T-Boy Tuesday. And now that you finished the show, we know exactly what you got to catch.
I think that cryptic reference is to Pokemon because we have that awesome episode of The Best Idea Yet.
So Yetis, channel your inner Ash Ketchum and go check out The Best Idea Yet for our full episode that you requested on the Pokemon.
A link's in the episode description, and Nick and I will see you tomorrow.
Because the Pokemon are beating Harry Potter. And before we go, a shout out to Yeti Tommy and his wife Tara from Boston, just outside Boston. We just ran into Tommy in Chicago. Tara, you got an incredible husband. We can't wait to see you at our next live show.
Happy birthday to Patrick Meehan, who's turning 41 in Bradenton, Florida.
And Bhavani in lovely DC is volunteering and celebrating the best birthday yet. And before we go, I should point out, a happy half birthday to me, Jack. I noticed you didn't bring a present. Did you bring a present for my birthday? Because we're hanging out. What do you think? For my half birthday?
Oh, man.
Oh, you must have brought a half present. Right? Because that would have been half as hard to do. Oh, you forgot.
always give me such a hard time.
Well, since it's my half birthday, I brought you a present.
What?
Yeah, I got you something.
What is this? You just trying to make me feel bad?
Well, remember for your quarter birthday, I promised to get you a yak sweater? I delivered the yak sweater.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's yak sweater. And a happy half birthday to Yeti's Melody Bryan, John Lukey, and Madeline Siginger. Keep celebrating. Jack, try on the sweater. Let us know how it feels.
I'm going to try on the sweater as your half birthday present.
You can get me on my 3/4 birthday, Jack.
This is Jack. I own stock of Disney and Levi's. Nick and I both own stock in Apple and ETFs of the S&P 500.